Let's see if I'm live here. I think I'm live. Maybe not.
I can hear you.
Okay, I think I'm live now. Are we live, YouTube? Apologies, I have a bit of a cold I picked up from my wife and daughter. I think we're live. Let's see. Yeah, we're live? Okay. We are live, for sure. And now, 20 seconds in, it shows up live. It's a bit of a delay. Hopefully in the replay, if you're still watching, welcome. Jaden, how you doing? Good to see you on. Andrew, just see people popping on. Hugo, Austin, hey everyone. So, I'm sick today, and I apologize that my voice is a bit scratchy. I tried to take a sick day today, but I want to talk about the life of an entrepreneur today. And then we'll talk about some of the questions you'll probably have that follow up with that. People think that as an entrepreneur, you're sitting on a beach, enjoying the good life. You're, in business meetings and life's just great and happy and spend time with your family. But let's be honest, as an entrepreneur, those of us who, Haris, how you doing? Tommy, good to see you on. Let's be honest, as an entrepreneur, the overarching theme is intense stress. Now you're free, but you're not really free. So let's use an example. I woke up today feeling like death, like the pain behind my eyes, my throat, I'm coughing all day, my lungs. Michael Chung, good to see you on. And I'm going through all these pains. Normally, in a career job, you could email in and say, hey, I'm not feeling great today, can't make it in, can't be on the phone today. And my job as of late has been a lot like a call center job. I am on this phone 6-7 hours a day. So what did that's right, worked at home. There you go, Austin. Eric, how you doing? William, good to see you on. Now, as an entrepreneur, you're gonna have times where it is amazing. Like you do eat what you hunt, right? You get to eat what you kill. And so that can mean huge paydays. But people often think that there's this glamorous entrepreneurial lifestyle. Let's be honest, I was sick today. Imagine my family's sick. I go to take a nap or anything and my phone just continues to ring with problems and issues. I've been on the phone again 6 hours today. Just every little issue. You've got contractors calling. You've got tenants that are reaching out. You've got new properties you're trying to buy. All the seeds that I planted last week, calling people up. Those people are all calling back today. And if I let those things fall wayside, I could lose the deal. Or worse, we could have a problem like we got roof leaks at a property. How do you fix those? And all these kinds of things. You got a call. One call can create 4 more calls for me. And so that's why I spent a good portion of today as well looking at a new property management software. I'm looking at a few of them actually. There's about 4 that I really like. And these softwares are awesome. So the investor can log in, see when rents are collected, generate income statements. We can post everything. The contractors, the maintenance guys, the property managers, everyone gets a login. The tenants get their own login. They pay their rent all online, automated transfer through credit card. Sorry. My apologies. Rain or shine, every Wednesday, I'm here. And so you gotta deal with me, and deal with my throat. Sorry. Paul, how you doing? Good to see you on. Tommy. Fayaz, good to see you on as well. I didn't know there was even a win-win meetup. No, I didn't go to that. I've been just so consumed with everything we're doing in the business here. It's just like from morning to night, I'm trying to solve problems. And that's why this software is so important for us. We're going to build some of our own. We're going to buy some software, integrate. Enforce, for instance, should be automatically issued. Tasks created, all this kind of stuff, automated. Everything's super, super automated and all kept in one platform. So we're not manually generating, like writing down, collecting rent and accepting e-transfers. Just a really inefficient way to do things. So Brandon, how you doing? Syed, how you doing? Good to see you guys on. Yeah, at the end of the day, it just comes down to, that's just as people file in here and get the notification, because it does take a little bit of time to get that all funneling in. But so being an entrepreneur is not always a great thing, especially when you're not feeling great, or when the normal person gets to get home at 5:30 or 6 o'clock and they get to check out and spend time with their family. my phone keeps ringing and the buck stops at me. So I have to answer the phone, I have to be on. And it's even worse when you're in a partnership, because I could decide to wind my business down for a week, but if my partner's still going hard, full steam, I'm integrated into his workflows, and so he needs me to be a part of that, right? And so it's the challenge of entrepreneurship and the challenge of getting a business built. I'm really, really excited. Yes, Jaden, I didn't even leave the house today. Now that doesn't mean I didn't work 9 hours today, but I use a propane torch to unfreeze pipes. How did you deal with it? So the best practice is often, I didn't leave the house. We dispatch guys to deal with that. Most of the time, I'm literally glued to this and my computer, and this guy just all day long, one after another. I just again and again get texts and calls. I could show you, I've got 23, probably, I don't know, some of those are just like me calling my wife and stuff, but probably 15 to 20 real calls. I have prospects and investors. I have investors calling me with updates. We're trying to streamline that process. I'm going to get a login for all of the investors. It's going to be really cool with this new software. They can log in and see when rent was collected, see what's behind, see what maintenance requests have been completed, see what expenses have been posted, all in real time. Super cool. Tenants get a login on their side. All the communication goes through this portal. We won't even give them we'll give them a phone number as a backup, but other than that, they'll have a number they can text into that goes into our software. Really, really cool stuff. It's going to revolutionize the way we can do what we do, right? Because managing 100 units is nothing, but wait till we get to 1,000 units. We're going to really need some systems in place, because I'm not going to be able to remember the names and the situations of 1,000 tenants. So it's good to have that all in a software and basically manage the managers through that. So, hey, Brandon. Okay, you've changed your name from Mr. Beefy 971. Okay. Michael Chung, I use propane torch. So we talked about, you just talked about how to melt frozen pipes. We had a flash freeze, super coldest day of the year 2 days ago. All the properties had, tenants like, hey, there's no cold water coming out. It's because there's no hot water coming out. Well, it's because your pipes are frozen probably. And in most cases they were. Now, it's not a huge deal if you have PEX lines. Often what I found is that if you do have a frozen pipe, you simply relieve the pressure by opening up the faucet. No water is going to come out because the pipe is frozen, but as things unthaw, what you're going to have is a bit of that pressure releasing out of the faucet. And you'll know when your pipe's unthaw. You want to do it very slowly. That's the important thing to do. So I use a warm cloth on the pipe and kind of, that looks very sexual. I'm not going to do that motion at all. But basically, that's sort of how you do it. You could just open the doors to your cabinets, let the heat kind of get in there and slowly warm your pipes up. The key is, often when pipes freeze, it's because the pipes are running along exterior walls or there's a draft in the cavity in which they run through. So to fix that, you'd insulate your pipes and, probably better, insulate all those cavities in your basement where the cool is coming in. Or you shouldn't have ever water lines run along an exterior wall, ever. That just shouldn't be a thing. So, Austin, there are softwares that exist like this. We are going to buy into, we're definitely going to buy into software like this. And, it's going to help, yeah. The entry cost for this software is $3,700 a year, roughly, plus HST. It's about $4,000 a year to buy into this kind of software. Very expensive, but it gets much, much cheaper as you get more units. The good software, anyway. There are a lot of different softwares in this space, a lot of ones that are worse than others, like Buildium. I didn't really care for it. Other software that there's a couple of them I didn't really care for. So anyway, just looking at what was existing, what was out there, and what would fit our needs. Some of them have Kijiji integration, which is really cool for posting ads, boom, instantly, saving pictures and descriptions of units. The application process embeds right on your website. They can apply right on your website, boom, to get into a portal. Really cool stuff to make you look like that next level property manager. And it's nice when you have N4 notices. If they log into the portal, they accept to receiving notices digitally. Really cool. So you can issue N4 notices all through an online portal. Really cool. Up till now, you have to manually deliver an N4 notice, or certain types of notices. Rent increase notices are manual. Now imagine I have 100 units in London. I have to go to 100 units and deliver rent increases manually by paper and have them confirm they've received it. That's such a pain. it's really not technology can make things way faster and way more efficient, especially in the landlording and property management business and sphere, where it's automated. Rents are coming in automatically. Tenants can pay by credit card. If they don't have the money, you say, look, here's the link to the credit card. Your rent's gonna be $20 more, but you can use a credit card. Here you go. Boom. Tenants have no excuse. So it's a great way to really automate the business, and I'm excited to bring that stuff in. I can say up until now we were bootstrapping sort of a couple different systems together, and things like Google Sheets are not an efficient way for everyone to be jumping and adding in expenses, for instance. So this is going to really help change the way we do all of our business, and it's going to help our investors a ton, where I can give them a login and say, hey, look, you can see where the rent's going into our trust account. You can see when the tenant's paid, and then we kind of set up automated transfers right to the investor. So I'm really excited for this. Yeah, Mr. McCall, how you doing? Okay, Patel, good to see you on. Good to see you on. Brandon says, the idea sounds like Castle from the documentary Startup. Huh. The amount of people I hear say, I want to start a business in the future, and they don't have the slightest clue of work required. The same dudes that go out and party every night. Yeah, it's really hard to be an entrepreneur and to party every night, unless your business is very much a networking business, in which case you could build deep connections with people over some, risque experiences you could then hold over them, or they could bond you guys together. So I can see the value in networking. There's a ton of value in business and entrepreneurship in networking. My apologies, guys, fighting through this. Definitely a lot that goes on behind the scenes. Now, we could just hire a bunch of people like admin assistants and things like that to make the workload go by quicker, but then we would have no profit, we'd lose money. That's why startups, most of them go bankrupt, right? 9 out of 10 startups fail. A good portion of businesses fail because the entrepreneurs aren't willing to put in the work at the outset, in the first year, the first 2 years to really do this. So yeah, I'm really excited for some of the things coming down the pipeline. We're going to have some conversations, I think, with some really wealthy individuals who are going to transform the way we do our business in the future here. We got some really cool meetings planned. And we're going to revolutionize the way that we're doing our business and be the first in Canada to do some cool stuff. So excited for all that. Oh, geez. Sorry, guys. Throat's killing me. That's right, credit card, no excuses. You just hand them a link and you pass the cost on to them. You say, if I pay by credit card, it's $620, and the fee covers the credit card costs. So, Austin says, isn't it going to be tough to get tenants to give up their traditional processes? I definitely understand the value on both ends, but there might be some hiccups or training required at the beginning. The software is super easy to use. They just log in. There's literally no excuse. I think if they can't use a computer, I don't want them as a tenant. I know that sounds bad, but honestly, I don't think I have any tenants that I don't think I've ever placed a tenant myself that can't use a computer. No, I don't think I have, because I advertise specifically online. And that's my only place that I advertise. I don't have signs out front, so that's not my target market. My target tenant, really truthfully, is digitally savvy and will get on an automated plan. So when the lease gets registered in the software, there's a rent amount that's automatically there. If they damage the unit, I can just send them an invoice, boom, boom, and it can be added to their rent. There's no excuse. We set them up an automatic transfer from the first day. So it's an EFT. It costs $1.50 to do it, but it takes it right from their bank account automatically. They submit us a void check. And so we're taking the money out of their account every month. There's no NSF fees with this method. If it doesn't work, we just get a $1.50 balance. They would then have to go in manually and create a payment and send it through their bank, like any other bill payment, to like a utilities company or a cell phone bill. Similar process. They would have that capability, as well as they could just use a credit card to make those payments. So there's definitely options. Definitely options in that regard. I think it's going to change everything, especially for our business. Now, a lot of companies already have this. Most big companies already have a software and a portal. But yeah, it's just getting our tenants on board with that. What we do is we have our lease signing and our application process through this same portal. So in order to apply to rent our unit, you have to be already in the portal. And the minute the lease is signed, it's digital. So the Ontario lease comes in. Aiden, oh, cool. Ship out tomorrow, no internet for a month. Damn, Aiden, good luck. Good luck. Have fun out in the open sea. Joining the Navy, that's really cool. You have to check out the replays. So in a month, we'll see what's up. I'm sure I'll be better by then. And I'm sure you'll be excited to be sharing all of what you've learned being able to see. Thank you for the $2.99. That's cool. I appreciate that. So I think that, when we talk about entrepreneurship, it's more about, yeah, of course, Michael, it's the same. Yeah, my daughter gave me the cold. This one's the worst. It's really wiping me out. I think kids at her preschool gave it to her, and then she gave it to me. Preschool and daycare is the worst. She's in preschool, and it's good for her development, but the kids there, so many of them get sick, and they bring sicknesses in, and then she comes up and gives me a hug, and boom, I'm sick. Or she coughs in my face or something like that. It just gets her hands all sticky and then touches me. It's brutal. This cold wiped my wife out even for 2 weeks. And I resisted the cold for 2 weeks. Then Wei and I had a strategy session 2 nights back to back till 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. And I went 2 days no sleep. My immune system got weak and the sickness took over. And now I'm battling. Yeah, that's right, man cold, 100%. Let's go up here and see if I missed some questions. Okay. I'm running out of deals, driving distance from where you live, maybe? Do you have tips or strategies for finding and managing rental properties 2 hours away? Travis, yeah, there's definitely ways to manage properties from a distance. You need to set up a local partnership. You need to find someone local on the ground who you can rely on, and then find a second person and have a queue. Like an A person takes like a waterfall almost, where the first person, if they can't handle it, it flows to the next person and to the next person. I guess if you're really small, you only have a few properties, it makes no sense to get a property management type software. But with a portal like that, tenant puts in a request, you can forward that request on. So you could theoretically manage it all virtually with a lot of automated systems. And it takes a lot of the work out of the property management. Definitely. But you have to have those local partners, those people on the ground that you can trust. Other than that, it's very difficult. Like, you could never drive there yourself to deal with problems. You have to have people on the ground who will deal with the problem on Christmas Day. That's the question. Who will come out on Christmas Day to handle the problem? And you have to have at least 2 of those people, because the person who says yes, they're going to say no. And so you always got to have a second person. Even if they say they're going to say yes, they won't. Something will happen and they'll say no. Yeah. So there you go. Reading these questions here. Hey, Mike, what are your thoughts? Rice Performance says, hey, Mike, what are your thoughts using home equity loans on your parents' house, 80% paid off, to buy another house? What are the pros and cons? Yeah, you should definitely do that. The pros are, when you use the HELOC to buy the property, you effectively take your parents' interest payments that they're going to make on these premiums and make them tax deductible in Canada. And so now all the interest is basically called the Smith maneuver. Now all the interest on that money you've borrowed is a direct write-off, which is fantastic. It's what you want to do. I should really even take my own house, pay it off, and then register a HELOC on it, then use the HELOC and directly transfer those funds against a rental property or an investment of some sort. And then the interest on my house would be a write-off, because right now it isn't. It really should be. Here I am preaching to the choir, and I'm not even following my own advice. And that's because I got a really good loan rate on my house. But yeah, something to think about. I really should be doing that from a tax perspective. How do I stay so motivated, Brandon? It's a great question. It's really hard some days. It'd be nice to just clock out. I'm the type of person who honors my word. My word means more than anything to me. And so it's not even about the money, it's about the word. And I've made promises to people. And so my business partner specifically, if he ever walked off and didn't care, I mean, I'd have less motivation too, I think. The biggest thing is my investors too. Like, I don't want to let anyone down, right? I've got like 15 investors messaging me all the time with different things going on in all the properties. And so I literally have a list right now of 250 things that I need to get done. And they're all varying levels of importance, from rental license stuff through to, small little maintenance stuff like, a door is squeaking at a rental property. That's like a low maintenance. I would never, that's going to be like, if we're there for another reason doing something else, the maintenance guy might look at it, but we will never specifically go to the property for that reason. So yeah, I mean, how do you just, for me, it's about not letting people down. I don't like letting people down. And that means all of my people on my A team, I can't let those people down. And so I got to get these systems in place so that we got some people who are going to onboard pretty soon here. I got a new property manager, and we need this system in place so that he can Like he doesn't have to email us with like, it's really bad for tenants to be texting us and we create an email workflow, send that out to the person to do the work. That's a slow process. Like with 1 or 2 properties, you can dispatch problems, but you want it to all be automated and you want it to be tracked, and you can't remember things when you're dealing with 1,000 units. You can't remember who you collected cash from when. You can't remember, you know, if you spent $22 at Home Depot. Like it's so bad, myself included. I boxes of receipts, right, for my own personal properties that have to add up at the end of the year, and it's software helps make that a lot more efficient. So that's what gives me motivation right now, is seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, that making this business much more efficient by putting in, you know, an extra 50 hours this week, even though I'm sick, will pay off and save me 100 hours later. And so it's always been, I'm very much a delayed gratification kind of person. I enjoy letting that thing wait. Like right now, I've got some Haagen-Dazs in the freezer and I'm going to enjoy that tonight. I could have just picked out on it right away, but I'm waiting for that right moment to enjoy it. And then when I do sink my spoon into that like frozen Haagen-Dazs, I know it's like not good for me, but that first bite when you like pierce the nice hard ice cream, oh, delicious. Like I've worked hard for that. And so that metaphor or whatever kind of illustrates exactly what it is being an entrepreneur. You need to have that delayed gratification. If you're all about the short term right now, $1 now, you're not going to make it long term as an entrepreneur. I just don't think you'll make it, because you're too much about the now. You have to be about the later. You can go years without even drawing a salary from a business, sometimes getting it started up. And so it's very much a time commitment that does pay off, I think, for those people who know how to delay gratification. Jaden says, are you excited for 10X? How much value do you think that'll bring you? Depends on the mood that I'm in. We're flying there on February 1st at 1 in the morning from Buffalo. We're going to drive to Buffalo and then fly out. So we're going to do a red-eye flight and then go to the conference with no sleep. So the first day I'm going to be a zombie, like literal zombie, having had no sleep that night. So that part I'm not looking forward to. But we saved like $250 on the flights. So that's something. That's something right there. I think it'll bring a ton of value from a motivational perspective. I'm hoping that I take some key learnings from there and apply them to the business. Just going there and getting that mindset reshift, like we're shifting from one perspective to another, can change the way you do your business. It's crazy how many, I've had like one conversation earlier last week with someone that changed the way Right Way is operating going forward. We're pivoting the entire business model. We have some big plans how we're going to change things to the model to make it more efficient and eventually bring it to a point where we can really scale this beast to different markets, right? Beyond London, because we're going to be expanding beyond London. That's coming soon as well. London's still my farm. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll be farming in London all day long, but I want to expand other markets and bring some of this to other cities. We're kind of the first to do partnering on properties the way that we do. Property management companies don't have they aren't aligned. Most property management companies aren't aligned to your interests, right? They aren't. A property manager puts in a bad tenant, he does damage. Property manager usually doesn't care because they're not aligned. They don't have an upside appreciation contract wherein if the property gets damaged, they lose money. They're also not as incentivized to renovate the property for the cheapest cost because, again, they don't care about cost. Cost base isn't part of their thing. It's part of my thing. We don't charge any fees if the unit's vacant. We take that vacancy right with you. We get no management fees, zero revenue. Our business comes to a grinding halt. So we make sure we have no vacancies, right? That's like property management should be aligned to that. It should be structured more like a joint venture. Not a joint venture, but more like a more aligned to the interest of the investor. And so I think we're the first type of property management to do that. And I think we're going to break a lot of ground because we're, in a lot of ways, partnered to align with the interests of the investor. It's going to blow up, I think. And we're going to take by storm a lot of areas and just bring in better systems and better people and just better everything to add value, right? At the end of the day, how can we add value in the market? And there are a lot of bad property management companies, thankfully, that use old, outdated systems and don't use technology, and they don't leverage efficiency, and they don't focus on bringing value like a deal. To be able to help an investor find a deal, that's where the most value is added in the transaction. Money is easy to come by. You can raise $1 million like that. Money is not, it's cheap. You know, when you get big enough, money is cheap. You can borrow money at 3% all day long. Money, people with a scarcity mindset see the value of money. Money is not the value. The deal flow is the value, and the management is the value. That's the real value in real estate. That's how you make tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. And so we're gonna bring that. You have to love what you do as an entrepreneur. You have to really believe in what your mission is, I think that's really, really important. If you don't believe in what you're doing, if you don't believe in your calling, you're going to have a really hard time committing 80 to 100 hours a week to that thing. Now, I don't always do that, but there are days where I take days off too. And just so happens today when I'm sick, when I want to take a day off, I can't because there's just so many things going on. So I'm really excited for some of the stuff with that. And I want people to know that as an entrepreneur, go in with your eyes wide open. You probably will fail. Majority of people will fail their first entrepreneurial venture. My first venture, you guys want to hear what my first entrepreneurial venture was? In the spirit of entrepreneurship, I started a vent and hood cleaning business. So what is a vent and hood cleaning business? When I was 19 when I started my first business. No, I started a grass and landscaping business and flower watering business and stuff like that well before that when I was like 12 or 13. And I would literally go and water flowers for neighbors on a daily schedule. And I charged like $5 per one. And then I also did like weekly and monthly maintenance. Anyway, that was a business like as a kid. I had paper routes and stuff like that. I've always been sort of entrepreneurial. I bought a battery charging station, the first rechargeable batteries, when I was like 9, and I rented them to kids at school with a $10 deposit, and it was $0.25 a charge. And I used the school's power to charge my batteries, so I had no cost. I was renting out batteries to game, like everyone had a Game Boy, right? In the day, that was like the thing. If you like a Game Boy, a black and white one, or the color Game Boys came out, that was like the thing, right? And I loved when people got the little light extension that went on the Game Boy, it's like a little windy cord and that little light at the end. I don't know what I mean, probably. He's watching a YouTube video. He's not even listening. Never mind. But you guys know what I mean. People who played Game Boy. Batteries were huge. They were everything as a gamer, as a kid. So I even had a business doing that. My first real business when I was 19, a hood and vent cleaning business. So above the grills in a restaurant, right, above the fryer, above the grills, there are these hood fans that suck out all the grease and the smoke because they're burning things and cooking things and whatever. And by fire code, every 6 months at the maximum, ideally before that, the worst case is every 6 months, you have to have those professionally cleaned because grease fires are a huge problem. And so these things get caked in smoke and grease. You got to go on the roof of the restaurant. So it's a one-story building. You get there with a power sprayer. You take the bolts all off the exterior guard, basically. It lifts up, and then you power spray all inside. In the inside, you set up plastic vapor that runs all the way around these big 12-foot grills, right? You take all the hood, like all the little grates inside, you take them all out. There's a special cleaning chemical you need, and we outsourced that. We got that chemical really cheap, and we had a special formula and the equipment, and I had someone to train me and how to do that, and me and a business partner together went and did that deal. And we went around and someone up top spraying, while someone inside got it all taped into big garbage, the big like garbage bins, and we would collect all the refuse that comes out of that, all the grease and the junk and all that kind of stuff. And sorry, my nose is really itchy. And we'd find, that it was hard work. The business was very, very hard work. We could only go in after the restaurant was closed. So often that meant 11 or 12 o'clock. After everything had cooled down, nice and cool, we'd meet the owner. They'd give us the keys. So we have a lot of responsibility. And we would work 12 to 5 a.m. It's like night. That's why we called the business Nighthawk. And we did it was just a really big failed business. We lost a ton of money. I had issues with the partner. I would go collect money from the restaurants. Mind you, I was in university too, so I had to drive back to Sarnia, where most of our clients were, so it was like a distance thing was a problem also. We had a number of barriers, but one was going into business with a friend who I didn't have any business really going into business with, and I fronted all of the money. I bought the van, I bought all the industrial shop vac equipment, the power sprayers, all of that. I rented all that. I put my name in the line. I went and bought the commercial insurance, all of the things. I incorporated the business. I did everything. And I just put all the money out. And he had the vehicle. I lived in a rough area of town, had the tires slashed, had someone siphon the gas out of the car and break into the van and break into it. I would go in and collect the money from the restaurant. And he says, I already paid your partner. I talked to my partner. He says, oh, I didn't get paid. He was cashing the check himself and not putting in the business account. And so there's a bit of, I don't really know what happened there. Like, I'm not going to point fingers. At the end of the day, it is what it is. But I think he was embezzling some of the money and not claiming everything properly. And we went bankrupt. The corporation still exists. It's a huge loss. I never even bothered really doing the final tax return, I don't think, for that company. just because it was such a major loss. I probably should actually. Those losses could probably be carried forward to me personally because I put all the money up in that business. But huge fail. That was my first business. It lasted a year, and I sold what was left over. I gave away most of the assets. The van for like $50 for parts. So I lost like $2,000 in this big van. You know, at the time I had some contracts lined up. I had someone in the family could hook me up with a lot of business. And I thought that business partner, he also got another job somewhere else. And so he basically abandoned the business. If he had stayed true and we got another employee to continue working with him, we could have scaled the business up, would have been great. And I wouldn't have had to do all the night cleanings. So the idea was to get employees. Like I wanted to build it to a point where it was scalable. I did it because I had someone who was willing to train me and just showed me the way. And they made it sound like it was a really good business when maybe it wasn't that good of a business. And I didn't have the foresight or the maturity that I have now to look at a business and say, this is a good business idea. I was like, this is a business idea and I love business and I want to start a business. Let's do this. So I just did it. And I had some sort of edge, right? I did have a competitive advantage. If I had a good business partner who was another copy of me, we would be 100%, 100% successful. And the writing was on the wall. I should have seen things before that I didn't see. And he wasn't 100% committed. And you have to be very careful going into business with people. Like, I have full trust in Wei and my business partner, and so I didn't have that with him. And now I've learned a big valuable mistake from that when partnering in business with someone. You have to know there's certain things you have to have going into business. So now I don't make that mistake a second time. Right Way won't have that problem because I already failed once with that business. And that's entrepreneurship for you, is failure and learning from failure. The thing is you gotta say, okay, I failed. That sucks. Let's not dwell on it. Let's move forward. Let's move on. Some people would say, you know, Mike, you lost $5,000, which, you know, when I was like 18 or 19 was a good portion of my net worth, right? It's probably like a third of my net worth at that time. People might say, I lost a third of my net worth in this business. I'm going to dwell on it. I'm going to be depressed. I'm going to say to myself, like, I'm a failure, this and that. No, like I didn't say that. And I didn't necessarily blame him entirely. I blame myself. And for a lot of it, I was like, look, I could have been a better manager. I could have been a better leader. I could have been made each of us more accountable. There are a lot of things I could have done better too. And so it's a lot my fault at the same time. You got to take accountability is the first thing. Stop what you're doing. Stop the bleeding immediately. Like, I literally shut the business down. As soon as I found out what was happening with the money being embezzled, I took the vehicle, shut it all down. It's done. There's no more. I cancel all our contracts. Done. Shut the business down quick. If you're losing money, don't hang on and burn through cash. Don't be Research in Motion, BlackBerry. Don't burn through all of your cash. Tons of businesses do this. It's stupid. They'll try to keep guys on, try to keep employees motivated, et cetera, keep them on the books in case the business turns around. No, lay your guys off. Be smart. Wind your business up. Don't let it burn, right? And then when the time comes, if you find that business is still lucrative, pivot, right? So be accountable, pivot, and say, okay, what did I learn from this, and how do I apply it going forward? What are some of the key learning pieces from this failure? And then how do I apply those learnings to my next business, to my next venture? And so that's what I did. And I failed, but I failed fast, right? The business was over as soon as it started losing money, and I failed forward. So I said, what am I going to do next time? I'm not going to go into a manual, blue-collar type of profession that relies too much on me. Like with property management, it's a different business, right? I have people that can run things in a way that I didn't with that business. There was some huge liability issues. It was too much. There were no systems. There was no technology in the business. It was very much like manual labor. And if a guy didn't show up at midnight, and it's a two-man process, and the second guy doesn't show up, you're done. And that's what we had. We had people not show up. Even if you had a backup, we had a guy not show up. And then what do? You're screwed. Yeah, the restaurant has to be done by 6 a.m. You got to have it all cleaned out. So then we have to try to find someone. We have to pay someone $30 an hour or some crazy amount of money just to come out, or $50 an hour in some cases, and you lose money on the jobs. And so these are all learning pieces that I kind of had figured out, right? And at a time, I didn't know how to inspire. At 19 years old, I didn't know how to inspire that kind of leadership that I have today. And I have a good team of people that I didn't have before. In entrepreneurship and business, people are your greatest asset, truly and honestly. Your people are everything. So you got to take care of your own. If you can't pay them a salary now, if you're a startup company, you're watching this and you're like some computer software business and you can't afford to pay them now. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. As you guys can hear, it's going to be gone in like 20 minutes. I've been on the phone all day too. if you're just starting out and you're a computer software business and you're like, I can't pay them salary now, pay them in options, in shares, offer them deals, offer them ownership, offer them future warrants or options, something, right? You gotta incentivize your guys, or at the very least, make them a promise and honor your goddamn word. Say, you're gonna be taken care of. If you stick with me, like I say this to all my guys that stick with me 3 to 5 years from now, they will all be taken care of. Every single one of them. If you stick with me along the journey and you're loyal to me, loyalty is my number one thing. I don't care about your current skill set. I care about your attitude and I care about your loyalty. If you're gonna betray me, let's not even do business. Like if I give you $1,000, I'll give you $10,000 right now to betray me, and you're gonna betray me for $10,000. I don't want to do business. Take $10,000 and leave. I'd rather not do business with someone who isn't loyal, and I mean loyal to a fault. Like I literally, with the other business, for instance, I was so loyal to my friend, even though he was stealing from me, even though he was lying to our clients, even though he was embezzling, all of these things, I was loyal to him to a fault. This has been a problem for me. This is something that I'm learning and getting better from. I trust people when I shouldn't trust people. When someone burns me though, and they betray me, they are done. We will do no more business together ever. That person who I did business with, we will never do business on anything ever. They are out of my life, right? But those people who are loyal, loyalty is number one. It's everything. It's everything. I just saw something pop up. Brandon Carney says, partners need something to equally lose. 100%. 100%. I don't like a tenant that has nothing to lose. I definitely don't like a business partner with nothing to lose. So that's why you don't partner with someone who has no money or nothing to lose, right? Money is one thing they could lose, but they need to have something to lose. I like to go in business with someone who has a family, who's ingrained, someone who's got a lot of money, who stands to lose it, someone who's got a lot of properties ingrained in this market, right? Those are people that you want. I have employees, I have maintenance guys and people like that who have property here in London. That's a good thing. When you have property here, when I worked at KPMG, I remember my first summer, they said, we want you to get married and want you to get a mortgage with a house. Because then you're locked in, right? That's what they want. That's what I want too. I want that, more than that, I don't want people to be forced in. I want them to be loyal to me because they believe in me, because they believe in my mission, because they believe in my journey. And we will build a company that's 100 million or a billion. It will happen with 100% certainty. The people who are here at the beginning, committed to that, they will be taken care of in the way that they need. So none of my friends will go hungry, or not even friends, like people in the core A team who are pushing with me. We at the end of the day, we'll work together towards this goal, and people will be taken care of who join in this. All right, I'm gonna go up and try to read some of these questions here. Okay. Austin asked, did you ever consider expanding outside the London market? Yes, we will expand outside the London market. I grew up in Sarnia, so I'll definitely be hitting up Sarnia a little bit. Probably markets all through southwestern Ontario, maybe some in northern Ontario. I have to be very careful in the market that we expand. London is still my favorite market from a diversity perspective, from a low risk perspective. I think London is way stronger than markets like Windsor, or markets like Sarnia, or markets like Sudbury, or North Bay, or a lot of the markets that I went and looked at. And the problem with those other markets is they're either tied really heavily to one industry, like mining or forestry, or they're just not diverse, right? They're too tied to one segment, right? London it's an awesome student community. It just that you guys have heard me talk about this before many times, but it feels like Toronto, like has the diversity of an economy like Toronto, but the price affordability of 1/10, right? Or not, maybe not 1/10, maybe 1/4. And the rents are not that far off from Toronto. The rents are maybe 30% less, but house prices are like 100% less, more than 100%, 200% less. So it's definitely a huge upside opportunity. But yeah, definitely will expand outside of London. The thing is, if I'm buying properties in Sarnia at 60 cents on the dollar, or I'm buying properties in Windsor, or I'm buying properties in Sudbury, or I'm buying properties in, Saskatoon at 60 cents on the dollar, I'm buying at 60 cents on the dollar. And so it doesn't really matter. The model still works there if you're buying for cash flow. Now, there'll still only ever be a quarter of the properties in the market that'll fit my model. So I can only ever grow so big in one market before, like in London, we get to a certain size and there are no more deals that fit the model. It'll eventually happen. Maybe at 1,000 properties, maybe at 2,000 properties. We'll be too big for this market. There'll be no more opportunities that fit the model. And instead of lowering the criteria, we'll just expand. We'll make partnerships with people, strategic partnerships in other cities where they can partner with us and we can deliver value together and really own that market. So I would go into a market where there's a big wholesaler or there's a big guy, big property manager, and we would strategically partner with that person and make their business better. And together we'd have more. It's always better to have a smaller piece of a huge pie than a giant slice of a tiny little pie. You'd rather own it'd be a lot better if I said I own 10% of a $1 billion company than it is to say, hey, I own a $10 million company 100% outright. Right? It just is better. You have way more reach, way more influence, way more money, way more power. It's just all around, all the things you're going for as an entrepreneur, influence, all of that tied to the size of the company, and right, the impact you can have is way larger. That's what all those things, power, influence, all that comes down to impact, and impact changes lives, and impact's what you're after. Usually as an entrepreneur, the money provides the impact, right? How do you usually pay your contractors? 50% upfront, 50% on completion. Any markup on materials? Typically 10%. Okay, so we pay our contractors. I try to avoid 50% upfront, 50% on completion. Every time I do it, I get burned. Like 9 out of 10 times I get burned. I've done it. I continue to do it a couple of times, but I prefer not to. I prefer to pay hourly or weekly, or by job. Piecework is my favorite. But sometimes piecework's too expensive, so you just get like a weekly price. They say, look, this job's gonna be 3 weeks. I want $1,200 a week, $3,600 labor. And then you're paying T&M, right? Time and materials. And materials, we'll try to bill around cost, a little bit more than cost. Mostly because I buy materials, ship them to my warehouses, like my garages that I've dedicated for this. And I have to pay delivery to those places, and I guys have to pick those materials up. Yes, I buy my materials cheap. We will never deliver a renovation that would be more than what it would cost to hire it outside. So if you're to outsource to some big like Winmar or some big company like that, we'll always beat those prices when we do renovations for our investors with guys that I know. But yeah, we mostly just pass the cost on. Again, there's been a lot of times where in my warehouse there'll be like a box of caulking. I paid like $100 for, right? Maybe there's like 12 tubes, and then it's like PL premium, it's like $9 a tube, and it's gone missing. Like I go into inventory and I'm like, there's a box of caulking missing. Where did it go? No contractors mentioned it. We have no idea where it went. Box of caulking was used at one of the properties to lay down some floor or to, set some, whatever they're using it for. Maybe they use it in some like framing application or something. And there I'm at $100. So I was actually billing exactly at cost, and I've been losing. Like I have $3,000 unaccounted for that was just lost to investors' renovation properties. So it's been really bad. I'm starting to build in a small margin for when my contractors aren't writing down little things like, oh, I just took a couple tubes of caulking. I don't even need to write that down. At the end of the day, they write down, I took a toilet, took a vanity, took 10 sheets of drywall and 20 studs. So of course I need to start billing that stuff in so I don't personally lose money in this business, because I'm buying a lot of stuff personally, and that's a big mistake. I learned all that. I'm continuing to learn that. Thankfully, I have deep pockets, so I can afford to take small losses building this business up. Someone just starting this business out, losing $3,000, $5,000 when their billings are less than that, they're just at a loss. It's not great. Again, my own fault for not having better systems in place. What are the things you've negotiated finance-wise? Also, how's the mentorship going? Basement's still not done. We've had a number of setbacks down there. It will be done this week, so I'm really excited for that to be done. And then the mentees are going to move in, so the mentorship will start. Really excited for that. The thing in construction is guys promise you deadlines and they can never deliver. So painters are running behind, or mudder comes back to fix some mud spots. Painter's delayed, can't come back and finish, blah, blah, blah. One thing was like we were missing a part from IKEA, so we had to go back and order a new part for the kitchen cabinets. One thing like that, where we have the box of materials sitting in a room, we go put it all together, and we're missing like one critical part. Now that just held us up 4 days. Stupid stuff like that. It just happens in construction. So you should always have longer budgets for time than you think. Things always take longer than what you think they do. especially with like weather delays and emergencies that pop up. But I'm really excited to get started. I'll probably start sometime, in the next week or so, before I hopefully go to 10x, hopefully. Do you have a system in place when you filter out tenants? Michael Chung, good question. Yes, we do. I don't want to rent to a tenant with nothing to lose, is the catchphrase that I like to use. Now, I try to determine what that means. Tenants with something to lose, wealthy tenants, tenants with good credit scores, they have a credit score to lose. They have money to lose in their bank account. If you got $35,000 in a TFSA, probably a good tenant. I mean, it means you've shown the foresight to delay gratification and save up $35,000. You're going to probably pay your rent. Yeah, there's a good chance. So a tenant with something to lose. If the tenant has no job, they have no money, they have no credit, they have nothing to lose. They can fight you at the landlord-tenant board all day long. I'm sorry, there's affordable housing with the government for a reason. The government can handle those people. I don't want to rent to people. I don't want to rent to people who have drama, problems. And so if I had two equal tenants, I would always choose the one with the job. I'd always choose the one with a better credit score. I'd always choose the one with more money in their bank account. And the good tenants, they'll send you their investment statements. They'll send you their bank accounts. Maybe they'll blur out the account number, but they'll print them off and show them to you. They're proud they've saved that money up. And so money is the most important thing, especially international students, stuff like that. A lot of them are paying $35,000 a year for school. That's a good way to screen someone. If they got $50,000 in their bank, they're probably not going to screw around. So that's the biggest thing is the tenant going to pay you, and will they not destroy your house? So those are the two things I look for the very most. Will they respect your property? Will they pay you the money that they owe you? That's a good tenant. If they respect your property entirely and they pay you all the money that they owe you, good tenant. That's it. I mean, the third thing, I guess, from a management perspective, is they don't bug you every 2 seconds about every little stupid thing. Because I had tenants like that who paid on time, took really good care, but called me every day about some stupid little, I'm getting a draft, I'm getting this Windows draft, this sound from another unit. Oh, you know what, today, there was some salt on the driveway and I didn't like that, or the grass needs to be cut again. It's only been a week. It's those kind of people, I don't want to deal with those either. High maintenance. No, thank you. This is why the software's coming in. So they can send us requests and not have our number directly unless an emergency. Yeah. So how do you negotiate finance-wise? It's tough. It's getting really tough in this industry, but you can basically go to ratespy.com, get another approval, and fight the rates against each other. Say, look, this other guy offered me 3.49. I got an approval right here. Match it. And the bank will match it, almost always. And they'll probably give you a free appraisal too to keep your business. So you can always negotiate a little bit. Less and less I'm concerned about that. That's like a couple $100 here and there. When I was first starting out, I was very concerned about that kind of stuff. Do you have a system in place? We talked about that. I used to install those fans and nodes. There you go. Cool. Small world. Why do you choose the vent cleaning business? Was this the only business you considered at the time? Yes. Obviously, you had a bad partner. How do you decide business partners today to avoid previous mistakes? Good question. I mentioned that a bit ago. If you listen to the recording, William, exactly how you avoid picking a bad business partner. One, structure a shotgun clause. Have it set up so that if things ever do deteriorate, business is like a marriage. So if you're going to marry the person, you need to make sure you have a divorce clause set up. So what if something happens? What are you going to do? What does the shotgun clause look like? And shotgun clause means basically you put an offer up to buy them out at a certain price, and the other person has the right to buy you out at that price. So if I offered him $1, this is an insult, because I knew he couldn't afford to buy me, then he could just use that, go borrow the money, and then buy me out at $1. So it ensures an equitable and fair price. So I'd only put up a price which I'd put up a price that I'd be okay being bought out at, right? Because they could turn around and buy me out. So when I offer a price to buy them out, they can go take that around and use that offer on me as accepted. That's how shotgun clause works. So set up a good clause and have a good plan to basically mediate. But I think having business with someone who's wealthy, because if something happens and they screw up or whatever happens, like if I screw up in our business like I did on those materials that got lost, I personally ate that. I didn't make my business partner eat half of that. I didn't say, hey, we have bad systems. Our contractors took $1,000 of my personal materials out. You're going to cover that with me. I ate that $1,000 loss personally myself. I didn't make my business partner eat half of that. I could have, right? But I didn't. That's what it means, give and take. It means you have a bit of flexibility, and you want to be in business with a person like myself, and that, I guess something else is if you're a type A personality, you want to make sure you're not in business with another person who's going to clash heads with you. You want to make sure that at the end of the day, I know that if I got a direction and I can justify myself, Wade will support me 100% of my decision. He will allow me to make those changes. He can work with my style of leadership. I can be very controlling, but I also will take us to heights that maybe we wouldn't have gone if we didn't take my crazy idea and run with it. So having someone who works with you personality-wise, I would say you should. He and I did 5 joint ventures in other areas like properties and stuff together for a year before we started our business. We didn't just jump into it, right? You got to really have a working relationship with someone and see. That was something I didn't do, right? I should have just said, hey, I'm going to hire you on as an employee, my friend. And after a year, if he was awesome, I'd say there's an option for you to buy in at for $1, half the business or something like that. That would have been a smarter way to structure my original failed business partnership when I was 19. I should have done it that way, in hindsight. Okay. Sorry. All right, Jonas, I see that you just left. Check out the replay. No problem. Okay. Hey, Uncle Steve, how you doing? Good to see you on. Let's bang out some of these questions here. Austin says, got to head out. Hope to catch you later. Keep grinding, brother. Keep grinding, guys. Carry on, carry on. Okay, let's bang out some of these questions here. Brandon says, partners not need something to lose. Agree equally. Loyalty is priceless. Ellie says, hey, Ellie, good to see you on. Jaden says, loyalty, 100%. Austin says, the big 4, he locked half my friends in. There you go. That's right. They know how to do it. They didn't lock me in, though. Contract rich. Load away. Logan says, do you think urban farming is a viable business model? Thanks, Mike. Urban farming? I don't know. I know some people who do some cool greenhouse stuff, and they do like pure like hydroponics where they can have like, it's really cool with hydroponics. You can have multiple, you can use a greenhouse or like a house in the city or something, and you could stack plants, kind of like cool hydroponics models I've seen. Really cool stuff where you could grow the same amount of vegetables as say like a 100-acre farm in like a small compact warehouse where you've got multiple levels stacked. Some cool stuff. Yeah, I think there's some huge future there, especially as cities expand and farmland becomes more and more expensive. Definitely. I think it's a viable business model there for sure. Just be careful. At the same time as there's opportunity, there's also a lot of threats. And I'm sure there's a lot of barriers to entry to doing it well. You need to have, the cost of real estate specifically in to get a warehouse to rent, right? And then the cost of all the utilities and stuff. And I don't know. I haven't analyzed the business model, but if you brought one to me, I'd be happy to look at it. Maybe there's an opportunity to invest. Paul Gidge says, or Sault Ste. Marie. There you go. Yeah, like eventually, we'll expand there. I think that we're going to have a different conversation with the investor, right? Because there's not the same upside there is in London or the same stability. So it's just a different conversation and a different, every investor has a different risk profile. And I think there's nothing wrong with having a couple of properties. And, if I had the ideal portfolio, I would have a couple of properties in many different markets, right? I have like 5 properties here, 5 properties there, 5 properties somewhere else. I specifically don't like, Sault Ste. Marie and all those places because they're very tied to 1 or 2 industries. I don't know if I'll ever personally own. I may personally own properties there. I'll never say never because you buy in deep enough under market value, you can't go wrong. The problem with those cheap properties up there is, I'm going on a little tangent because I can. Is if you need a new roof or a new furnace and a new roof and new windows, and you buy a property for 20 grand, to put a new furnace and a new roof on, you're throwing up like 5 years of cash flow. So these properties look like they cash flow really well, these $50,000 houses up there. But the truth is, if you look at the capex cost of like a new roof and a new furnace, you have no cash flow for like 5 years because these properties are so small as a percentage. You're giving away all your mortgage payment on all your cash flow for one capex. So a thing like a roof goes in a windstorm and you're like, it's done. You have no cash flow for like 3 years. So that's the challenge with properties up there. I guess you have to be more careful what you're buying up there. That's all. You could still have a model that would work up there. Just the same model that works here wouldn't work there. Some of these videos are really cool, interesting on what they earn, but it does seem like a ton of work. I agree with you. Logan says, best real estate advice for someone starting out with little startup capital. It's hard to invest in real estate without any capital. I could tell you can do no money down deals and better take back deals, but that's difficult. You could do it. You're going to be an expert in that you need to know how to find deals way under market value or bring some value, because in real estate you have to bring value to the table. So either you bring money or you bring value, which means you find a property or a deal under market value, or there's some way to add value, some angle to the property to add value to it. Often you have to be significantly under market value to raise the capital. The other thing too is maybe you bring the active management. You partner with someone who's got money and say, look, I'll run all the management, I'll do all the work, and I'll take 30% of the profit and you get 70% or something like that, where you work with someone, you come up with some sort of deal, especially in your first couple deals until you build the expertise up. But that's the way to start. People are doing wholesaling. I don't think it's the right thing to get into. I honestly think wholesaling is, there's not many people that make it long-term in wholesaling. It's like a short way to make some money for now, but I don't see a lot of people making a lot of money long-term in wholesaling unless their intentions and their motivations are in the right place. If they are and their goal is not to make money, then you can do really well in it. But if your goal is just to make money, it's soulless. So it needs to be about more than money for sure. You can always get into like being a real estate agent too, I guess. It's along the same lines as being a wholesaler, but you're legally trading in real estate. Loyalty is everything. 100% Michael Chung. I wish I could like love that comment right now. Is there a way to love that comment? No, there's no way. It doesn't let me. Okay. Rice Performance says, coming from Sydney, the third most unaffordable capital cities, would you invest in property or no? No, I wouldn't. And what suggestions would you make for an early 20-year-old to save for a media house? Well, medium, you mean, instead of media house. Medium house pricing or median house pricing, $650,000. Don't buy a house there. Go and rent a property and sublet it or put it on Airbnb, put it on bookings.com. Rent to sublet. Go and rent these properties out. If every house in London becomes $750,000 and is renting currently like it is now for $2,200 a month, $750,000 houses in Northwest London are renting for $2,200 a month. I see those deals all the time. If you hunt for deals on Kijiji, you'll find that. What that means is those owners of those $750,000 properties are losing money. They're negative cash flow. In neutral or negative cash flow cities, you don't buy real estate. You get control of real estate. You go rent it and re-rent it again. You get control of $1 million asset for $2,000 a month. That's what you do. You don't buy real estate. You control real estate if you want to invest in real estate. Hope that was helpful. You clarified median, so now I know what you mean. I'm going to be at a point probably after my next property where I won't be able to qualify for mortgages until I get my income up 2 to 3 years, but have money for down payments. Suggestions? Commercial real estate, 6 units or larger. You will the property will qualify on its own, so you can buy in a corp or do whatever you want. If you buy within a corp, you can basically qualify fresh, start fresh again. So people do that. They buy inside of a corp, and you can buy a lot more inside of a corp than you can personally. After you get to 5 or 10 personally, you can continue to buy inside of a corp. That's what you do. You just pay 4.5% interest or whatever it is, percentage point higher typically. So that's how you continue to buy. It doesn't end. The super cheap mortgages end, but it doesn't end. What are some important clauses in business? In business, like you mean in an offer to purchase, like financing conditions, or I have to clarify a bit, but I think you mean that kind of stuff. There are tons of clauses. We could just go over. It depends on what you're trying to write. Yeah.
Clause is the Santa Claus. But I'll see myself.
If anyone didn't hear that joke, Kyle's favorite clause is the Santa Claus.
Bring the value there.
Oh, Kyle, I love you. I do. You're the best.
Sorry, I just derailed one.
Will you be deciding, what will be the deciding factor on the software you invest in? Jaden, I guess the tables, like there's some table stake features like being able to mass communicate with tenants is really, really important. Cost is going to be a huge one. Cost is a big one. Second is scalability. So what might work now for our business, even we might not even pick the best software for our business now. We might pick one that's a lot more expensive, a lot more work, but it's going to be good when we have 1,000 properties. So that's probably what we're leaning towards, is the software that's going to be really good when we have 1,000, I say units, sorry, not properties. They charge everything by units, not properties in software business for property management. So Santa's hiding in the closet. Yeah, so I guess when you're looking at property management software like I am, I'm going to pull the trigger very soon on some really cool stuff. We're looking at like $4,000 or $5,000 a year for this software per year. So over a 5-year span, we're looking at like $25,000, $30,000. But this stuff can revolutionize your business, right? And make your business way more efficient than it was before, and allow us to scale really quick. And just the amount of time it'll save us alone, just me alone, should pay for the software. So that's going to be huge. Yeah, I guess costs, features, what can it do? Some of them have Kijiji integration for posting ads, like right from you can save the listing information, the pictures right there, and just auto post it to Kijiji. Cool stuff like that, where they can click, it's integrated into your website, where they can click to apply right from your website. Really cool features to get all the information all online. So there's no manual, like emailing them an application, them getting it back to you, just slow stuff. Even lease signing. They log into the portal and they sign it, and I just action sign it with my finger. Boom, boom, boom. So do they. So it's like a more integrated, better DocuSign that's there anytime. Rent receipts, it's requested, I action it. Boom, sends off an automated receipt. Just so many better ways to do things than manually writing out like, here's a receipt for the last 12 months for you guys. Yeah, so definitely. Vegetable Muse says, hey Mike, love your content. I'm curious what your opinion is in using a mortgage broker for your properties. More specifically, there's nothing wrong with using a mortgage broker. I definitely would. Do not use someone at the branch. When I use someone from a bank, I use a mobile specialist. They can get a lot more done than someone at the actual branch. The branch FSMs, financial service managers, have very limited ability in what they can do. So definitely really important, I think, to really, really important to make sure that you're working with the right people, the right brokers. The right mortgage broker can get you a yes when everyone else is a no. And there's more factors than just interest rate costs. There's also, how long can you amortize the property for? What sort of terms are they offering you? How, can you break out of that mortgage and refinance the property without paying a huge fee? So stuff like that, right? Okay. Gotta head out, Mike. Hope to catch the rest tomorrow. Keep grinding, brother. Keep grinding. You too. Okay. Hey Steve, how you doing? Love this channel. Books and Bricks 1986. Nice, like that. You know what show I just recently found on Netflix is You. It's like about this, no worries. Just about this like twisted dude. Just your name reminded me of that show for some reason. It's just called You. Super twisted and actually really good. Started watching that with Elise, and we're really enjoying it. That's for like my wind down. At the end of the night, I like to watch a show. Ellie says, expand to Montreal. You know what? Maybe. The francophone, language barrier might be a bit of a difficulty, but there are people that I could partner with, which would solve a lot of that gap. We probably will end up expanding to Montreal when we go to Ottawa and continue to expand. There's still opportunity, I think, in some of those markets, even like Ottawa, which we will expand to at some point. Once we master Southwestern Ontario, definitely. How do I know if my area is good or not for real estate investing? I live in St. Paul, 300K population. Seems like a decently big city. What are rent to price ratios? That's how you can tell, the rent to price ratio. So if, for instance, if $300,000 property, if you can buy properties at $300,000, you may have to look a little bit harder to find these, but in London you can. If you can buy a $300,000 property, that'll rent for $3,000 a month, you should be buying real estate. If you're buying $500,000 properties in your market that rent for $2,500 a month, residentially to a whatever, family or whatever, then you probably should do a rent hacking, rent to sublet scenario instead. So that's kind of how you can tell whether you should be buying real estate or whether you should be renting and subletting that or putting on Airbnb. Okay. I'm glad that added value for you. It's definitely helpful. You said your knowledge is key. Thanks. Appreciate that. Okay. Yeah, landlording is on autopilot is pretty interesting for systems. It is, definitely. I mean, it wouldn't be on autopilot really. We would still have a property manager going in and actioning requests and manually actioning a lot of the stuff, but it's just as easy as like boom, click, 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 send, boom, boom, click, click, send. So we will have a full-time guy who will be running. We'll have 2 full-time people in the next few months that'll be just in this software, running the software. So handling like all tenant communication through the software, actioning and basically approving requests that come in for maintenance and stuff like that. Just be actioning those to different people, stuff like that, right? And the property manager can go in there and say, hey, fix the door, spent an hour and a half, sent, kind of thing. Yeah. No problem. Happy to help. William says, Mike, I have issues where a friend started a small business 2 years ago, consulting based. He thinks it's worth a fortune, 90% profit, revenue 30 to 40K. What is the best way to partner? Why do you want to partner? I mean, I'm sure if it's a consulting based business that the largest cost is time. And if you properly valued the time, you'd find it wasn't that profitable. Consulting businesses tend not to be very profitable because they're very human capital intensive. The same way property management is very human capital intensive. Very low margins. Revenue of 30 to 40 grand. I would not pay more than 30 to 40 grand max one-time sales. Maybe don't partner. If they think their business is overvalued, you don't want to overpay. So start your own, do your own thing. Maybe offer to start something fresh together. Opportunity East, Kingston, for example. Yeah, it's probably Opportunity East, for sure. I meant the book, but yeah, I think what you're doing, the book is talking about. Okay, got you. Landlording on autopilot. Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to check that book out. Send me a text about that, Hugo, and remind me to take a look at that book. I'll take a look and see maybe there's something there we can kind of integrate. 8:09. We've been over an hour now, and I'm gonna probably wrap this up because my voice is killing me. Throat sore. No more questions. Oh, one more popped in. Okay, one more popped in. Let's answer this question. Cole says, can you explain the refinancing portion of the BRRRR strategy? So BRRRR, for anyone who hasn't heard me talk about this for the millionth time on my channel, and if you're new, I don't blame you because you're brand new to my channel, but it's buy, renovate, rent out, refinance, as in get the bank to reappraise it and put a mortgage on it and pull the equity out, and then repeat. So the BRRRR is buy, renovate the property to add value, rent the property out to add value, refinance to capture that value, and then repeat. The BRRRR, right on my hand. So the refinancing portion means you buy a property for $200,000, you add some value, you spend $10,000 on renovation, it's now worth, you put tenants in at top market rents, which again increases value a ton by putting in top market rents. You're probably worth $260. You get it appraised at $260 or $300, let's just say, for crazy numbers. So I've had deals like this. Grab it for $300 and you put a mortgage on at 80% loan to value, which is $240,000 mortgage. You paid $200 for the property. You just got a mortgage on giving you a check for $240. You got to pay off the old mortgage that was on it, call it $180, and now you got $60,000 left over, $10,000 to repay the renovation, and now you got 50 grand in your pocket. That's a BRRRR to go ahead and go on to the next deal. You've pulled all of your down payment back out. That's the magic of the BRRRR, and that's how refinance works. When you add value, you bring an appraiser back through. You find a way to align to. You buy it. And you say, look, these are the comps in the area I'm trying to become like. You become like those comps, and then you get that valuation either through a couple of ways. You can go back and look through my videos on how to get a rockstar appraisal. One of the first videos I ever did, it was about the 3 appraisal methods. So one of them is the net income approach, right? The NOI approach to valuing property. The other one is comparable analysis approach. Those are the 2 that appraisers use most often. With the BRRRR model, you have to learn how to master those 2. Comps being really important, comparable properties. That's how you do it. Okay. I don't know. Jaden from Kingston? I don't think so. Maybe he has a history in Kingston. Good night. Get better soon. Happy bath time. Thanks. Quickest way to qualify for financing for a teenager. Well, there's lots of ways to get financing. Job income is really important. So having a steady, stable job helps a lot. Or partner with someone who has that. If you have parents, if you have aunts or uncles or a business partner you can partner with, that's the best way. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate that. Yeah, so hopefully you guys got some value from this. I'm going to wrap this up because my throat is, I'm feeling a bit of the tireds. And I can only go so long, but on the phone a ton today. I hope I dropped some value for you on what it's like to be an entrepreneur and the importance of entrepreneurship. And I'm hoping I didn't throw a wrench in your plans. If you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur and now you're like, no, I don't want to because it sucks. You know what? The rewards are really worth it at the end of the day, and the flexibility and the freedom to be able to say, hey, I'm going to take a nap at noon. That's cool. Those days where that happens, I like that. It's worth it. Thanks, guys. Brandon, talk to you later. Jaden, good to see you on, and I'm really excited for what's to come in 2019 as we continue to drop value. And looking forward to dropping on Saturday, part 2 of the financial plan, the fire plan. I'm surprised we didn't get more questions on the fire plan. Maybe we will get more questions on this Saturday's upload. So look forward to that, guys. See you all in the comments for that video this Saturday around noon. We're going to drop that. So, all right, everyone, have a happy Wednesday evening. As always, I am all my videos. The secret to unlocking wealth through you is spending less, earning more, and maximizing returns in that order of importance. And then as you become wealthier, it becomes all about maximizing returns, earning more, and then spending less becoming least important once you've built that wealth. So the inverse applies. It kind of looks like this: spending less, earning more, maximize returns, and then maximize returns, earning more, and spending less, right? So very, very cool way of kind of changing the paradigm. So talk to you all later. Bye-bye. Spend less, earn more, maximize returns.